Welcome to the But Mostly Disney podcast. I'm Jeff C. And you're not. Wait, wrong show. That's not. I've been thinking about that all day. But we wanted to make our guest, Katie Gentry Fawkes. Do you go by, can we just call you Katie? Is that okay?
You can just call me Katie. I actually rarely use my maiden name, so I can just be Fawkes.
Okay.
Just Katie.
Like Guy Fawkes. So that's cool.
Yeah.
And I met Katie at, I just told her before we started that we talk about Lou Mangello a lot. And I met her at Momentum, at his Momentum group, and she was awesome. Ecamm we're using this now. Karen said that she loves the new setup, which is awesome. And it really is pretty. And I thought it awfully appropriate to have her on our first night of using Ecamm. So Katie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So if you haven't met me yet, hi, I'm Katie. I am a marketing director at Ecamm, as Sean was saying. We make a live streaming and video production software. I have a crazy background. I started in copywriting way back, what feels like a million years ago. Moved into social media, and then ended up kind of apprehensively in the world of video and live streaming. Kind of came in kicking and screaming, but now I spend a lot of time podcasting and live streaming and creating short videos. I've been playing around in the world of Amazon shoppable videos and Amazon live shopping a little bit. So I'm now officially a content creator, which feels like a weird thing to say. I really did this very, very kind of apprehensively, but it's been a lot of fun. I also keep chickens. I'm half Canadian. I crochet. I'm a mom. I love to travel. A lot of other, obviously, fun facts that make me me.
Oh, you just got back from Belize, which is one of my favorite places on the planet.
Awesome. I love hearing that.
What's that, Andrew?
Never been there.
You should.
Beautiful.
To me, it's like what every Jimmy Buffett fan thinks Key West is going to be like. Like it's truly no shirt, no shoes, no problem.
Yep.
I actually got offered a job on Ambergee Key and wanted to stay, but my wife is more practical than I am and smarter.
I'm definitely not the practical one. I would have been like, yeah, let's do it. Fun.
Let's go.
But it's awesome. I mean, it was beautiful. We all on Ambergee Key. I think I feel like you were.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, we bounced around a little bit. I had to see the Mayan temples, and we we went. We're around a little bit, but yeah, it was beautiful. It was a lot of fun. My sister-in-law and her husband have been a number of times, so they were recommending it, and we were like, oh, we just wanted a place for the whole family to meet up. We were there over Christmas, which was a lot of fun.
It's beautiful, and I'm dying to go back. It was just so awesome. Great food, nice people. Well, I mean, most of my travel ends up being Disney right now, which Katie, you've only been to twice, right?
Oh, just twice. I know, it's crazy. I should say, I guess so I have been to Disneyland.
Ooh.
I've been to Disney World twice, and Disneyland one time, but I was like 1 or 2. So
it counts.
My parents were like, well, you've been, so we're not going to take you back. And then another time as an adult, I was at a conference across the street from Disneyland. So I snuck in and just like, I snuck away from the conference for a bit and did just like the downtown Disney area. So not officially all the way in a second time, but.
Andrew, you haven't been to Disneyland yet, have you?
No, we haven't been. We need to plan a trip. It's the Mecca, so I got to go one day.
It's really nice. It feels a little bit more old timey to me than Disney World, which I sort of love.
Yeah, it's really cool, and obviously we love it. Hence the title of the podcast. And it's funny. I was thinking, like you were talking about, like I had not intended to be a creator, but I really, really didn't intend to be a podcaster at all. But when I went to Momentum, and Katie talked a bit about being kind of vulnerable and hating your voice and not wanting to go online and that kind of thing. And there were all these smart people. And look, let me book. I haven't signed up for next year yet, but when I do, I'll start telling everybody how great Momentum is and how amazing, and how everyone should go no matter what you're doing. But
it really is an amazing event. Yeah.
Katie spoke and I was just, I mean, honestly, it's true. Ecamm, we were using a simpler, arguably simpler software up until tonight. And now that I've spent the weekend playing with it, I like it a lot. I mean, it does a lot more. I just need to learn how to control it. So I'm baby steps, but that's what I did with the other software anyway. Like I'd slowly figure out how to add slides or whatever else.
Yep.
So I won't be screen sharing or I didn't do any slides like I normally do this week because I'm afraid to touch anything. But it's so beautiful and it's working the way I want it to.
Baby steps, he'll get there.
But it's interesting how that group of people, I mean, it all, orbited around Lou and then through him with Disney, right? Like we were all drawn together somehow with Disney. I don't consider myself an adult, much less a Disney adult, but sitting in this room, there were all these smart people and I just started trying to take advice, and one of them was start a podcast. And this is episode 18, which is crazy.
Congratulations. You're through the pod fade.
Yes.
Was it like episode 7 that most
Right.
people don't make it
7
past?
is
Yeah.
where you drop off at.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't, it's probably the most consistent thing I've done in my life ever. Like, honestly.
Well, as soon as you get sound effects loaded in, you'll have to play the like applause sound effect for yourself.
Oh, I could have done that. I moved that window because I was trying to simplify it a little bit. I do love that though. I played with those for a long time. I got very distracted by the sound effects. And so the cool thing, and if you don't, I mean, we mention the same names every week, but if you don't know Jeff, and he talked a lot about it, but I was just telling Katie too, that the cool thing about Ecamm to me is stepping into it, and again, very tenderly and daintily, is that there's so much support. Like I mean, just the official Ecamm YouTube channel would take me years to get through.
Yeah.
And a lot of good knowledge.
Yeah, it became pretty apparent to me from the moment that I started working at Ecamm that the thing about video, particularly live streaming, which is where Ecamm started, is that it's pretty intimidating, like on a variety of different levels, right? It's really public. There's not really like an easy way to practice. Everyone has a different perspective, obviously different content. They're coming at it from all different levels. And so we really, from the very sort of beginning of Ecamm, have always had this idea of like, well, let's just be all in it together. We're all doing it. We're all creating video. We're all, doing different things. It's not competitive. So we might as well spend time, help each other out, test and play together and create this really safe space where people can feel vulnerable. Again, not all that dissimilar from what Lou does with his Momentum group and countless others do in coaching environments or in, Facebook groups and Discord channels and everything across the internet. So it's a testament to that community where, our customers and our people really just kind of rose to the occasion and were there helping each other and answering questions and jumping on and being like, guests on each other's shows and helping people talk through really great ideas. So it really, now we joke that it really is like a community and you pay for the community and you get the software for free, right? Software is just like a bonus on the downside.
It really is true. And that's what draws me in, right? Like I don't know what stage of my life I'm in because I've done it all kind of topsy-turvy. I did not go in a normal order, but even like, Katie's reached out a couple times. Hey, call me, whatever. And I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to intrude. Right. Because, and even though we are on episode 18, I still don't feel like I'm really doing it. I feel like it feels very, just
syndrome.
Right.
Yeah,
So
you're doing it.
But we're having such a good time. Even Paul Gowder. So I set up my email, oh my gosh, I can't think of the word for it now. Newsletter. And it's not a great newsletter yet, right? Much like, the podcast gets better each episode. But he texted me from a cruise. And even though like he doesn't work for Ecamm, he has his own thing, but it's just the people that seem to revolve around this atmosphere or whoever's in this orbit is just so cool. And that's what I want, right? Like I've had plenty of business stuff and done things and it's cold and not fun. And I Momentum, we all left like it was a young life, camp or something where everyone's leaving and hugging and crying. Lou said there'd be crying and I didn't believe him, and learned a lot. And so now I'm just following along,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going in September. I'm gonna go this year.
Awesome. Oh, that'll be so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, finding your people is, I think, hugely important. And it is neat what video and podcasting and live streaming, kind of all these different mediums allow us to really connect with people in a way that we never were able to, or, certainly weren't comfortable with doing even 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Like, it has come up pretty quickly, and it's neat that, it feels a little bit closer. It feels like there's, ways to actually spend time with people and learn from them and get to know them better in ways we just never had access to before.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Andrew's in the chat. I can see I'm bringing these over now.
Yay! Andrew made it.
Andrew's
Karen's
awesome.
asking you where Tater came from, and I'm also curious. You need to give us the backstory.
I know. I feel like it should be a whole episode because it's not. I need to make something better up. Is what I need to do. If actually, I tell you what though,
some time.
I will do this for if you really want to know. I will tell you because
Sure.
it actually could tie into a good '80s movie.
All right, great. I love it.
So when I was a kid at church camp, I went to this first weekend, and I didn't know anybody there. I met some friends. We were people bowling in the hallway. It was in an old I don't know, an old like girls' college or something. So we're all in these hallways, and I rolled a gutter ball, and my friend Eric DuPaul called me the human tater tot, which was a line from Some Kind of Wonderful, where with Eric Stoltz, where his sister says, "And my brother, the human tater tot," and I was 16, and that stuck. I did not like it, and now I've leaned into it. So
yeah, lean in.
It's what. Well, I mean, there's lots of Seans, right? So I figured Tater, maybe they won't forget.
Exactly.
Sean who?
It's a good
I know
story.
Tater.
You don't need to redo that story. That's a great story.
It's all right. You're just saying that big. So Katie does have is it called the VHS?
The VHS Club.
Yeah. And you use Taters on your.
We do. We rate in Taters. I and I don't even know where I don't even have a good story. I have no idea where it started from. But
well, when you were at church camp.
Yeah,
everything starts at church camp or band camp.
Yeah, exactly. Or band camp. I didn't go to band camp, so I can't take that. But my best friend Nat, who is my co-host on that show, and I both called our younger brothers, who are also friends, Spud growing up, as like, and we still call them both Spud. So yeah, there's been like potato overlap in my world as well. So we have Spuds and Taters.
Well, I absolutely approve.
Perfect.
But it was funny because I was watching that today. I was watching your video on how to do graphics, and it was the Ecamm for non-techies.
Ecamm for the rest of us. Yeah.
Nice way of saying Ecamm for dummies.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was but much more pleasant. And so I saw the Spuds on them. I'm like, oh, they're rating Taters. That's perfect for me.
Yep.
I used to not tell that story. I used to keep it a very big mystery, and now I don't see any reason to do that at all. So
perfect.
But yep, that's there you go, Karen. That's aren't you glad you asked? And Andrew, by the way, I put your shirt in the store. I have a store. I'm not saying you should go buy anything, but Andrew needed a shirt, and so Andrew, if you go in there, it is called the Andrew Special, and it's right on the front page, and it's all for you, buddy. So
Andrew Prince has got a shirt.
That's right. All right, so and it seems like if you wanted, you can do Zoom through Ecamm too, right?
Yeah. So I was kind of, again, maybe I'm just an apprehensive person. I had built my show similar to you, and we'd been using interview mode, which is Ecamm's kind of built-in tool to bring guests on for years. So I was really familiar with it and comfortable with it, and doing it often on both the Flow and the VHS Club. About 6 months ago or so, Ecamm built out a full integration with Zoom, and part of that is the ability that you can actually bring guests in through a Zoom meeting or webinar or Zoom event. And so I was like, maybe we should, try this and just see like what the difference is and, how it all works, I guess, on both of our shows. And I actually now prefer being in the Zoom environment because it creates this kind of like fun back channel space most people are really comfortable and familiar with Zoom. So it's nice to be like, oh, you just jump into this Zoom space. We get you looking exactly how you are, and then drag and drop you into kind of the branded Ecamm environment and space. So yeah, it's been great. It is dependent on what the level of your Zoom account is. So I am lucky in that at Ecamm we have a pretty high level Zoom account. So the quality of our video is like ridiculous. It's, like as high as it could possibly get. It, depending on what level you're at. But yeah, it's really nice and easy. And then also if you're a Zoom like facilitator, so if you're someone that's doing, meetings and Zoom sessions and webinars and all of that, what it also does is it gives you a lot more kind of production value and production tools to run your Zoom events. So you can bring comments on screen and fully brand them. You can use all of Ecamm's features, so like sound effects and like all these cool graphics that you see. We could take that right into a Zoom meeting. So it's pretty fun actually to see like what quote unquote like business people how they react when they're like, oh, like how is there a video background, and how do you doing fun sound effects, and how are you doing all these different things that they're just not used to in a Zoom environment?
Because it's boring, right?
Yeah,
it's like
not anymore.
Right.
now it's really fun.
And that's the thing. I mean, so my kids, when my kids are in private school, and when we had COVID, their school, it's like they knew it was coming. It was kind of weird, actually. If you're a conspiracy theorist, then you would have gone nuts. But like they were down for 2 days, 48 hours, and then bang, right back up. But it's like the PowerPoint of meetings. I mean, we do a Lou call once a month with him, and that's Zoom. And so you've got, a nice big grid and everyone's having a good time. Yeah. But this is obviously, I mean, much, much prettier than that. Karen says this works on a MacBook Air.
I am going to break your heart a little bit, Karen. So it does work on a MacBook Air, but a MacBook Air is missing the amount of power that a lot of video production requires. So at its bare minimum, yes, it will work on a MacBook Air. We don't recommend them because as you start adding things on and are, bringing in video backgrounds and bringing guests in and adding in Zoom, you're just increasing the amount of workload that you're requiring that computer to do. And all of the Air levels of Macs don't have fans in them. So your computer has no way to cool off, and your computer just can't handle the amount of power you're throwing at it. So yes, if you're going to just get started and do kind of very simple, streams and video recordings, it'll work. But as you start leveling up, which tends to be kind of an addiction, as you start realizing everything you can do, you are going to need something a little bit more powerful. A lot of our customers will get the Mac Mini because at its base, which works great with Ecamm, it's only $600. So it's a pretty affordable kind of getting started computer. Obviously it's not portable. It's not a laptop, but a good option.
As a guest though, it would be no problem, right?
As a guest, no problem at all. Yeah. As a guest, you don't have to have Ecamm. You don't have to have a Mac. It doesn't really matter how you're coming in. Ecamm is going to take whatever quality you give it. So if you're calling in as a guest, like on your phone in a park with bad internet, your video is not going to look as good as Andrew calling in from his computer with good lighting and everything. So you need to be aware of those kinds of things. But yeah, you can call in or join in anyway.
We had her on the show last week, and it almost didn't work because StreamYard wouldn't allow it to go through whatever it wouldn't work through whatever the internet browser is on Mac.
Through Safari.
Yep.
Really?
Had to be Chrome.
Oh yeah, no, Ecamm works with Safari, and again, you could have joined through Zoom too. So.
Right.
Yeah.
It's cool. I literally got a computer for Christmas to get Ecamm. I mean, and I think I was on again. I pop in on Jeff's show at 11 each Friday. Was it Social Media Live?
Social Media News Live. Yep.
Social Media News Live. And I really enjoy his guests and what he does, not just as a creator, like all of this is fascinating to me. But I was and again, Paul Gowder was the one. I kept putting MacBook Pros in my laptops in my bag, and I'd look at it, it'd be like $3,700. I'm just like, oh my gosh, on something that no one's listening to or watching, I'm going to spend $3,700. And then Paul's like, just go to Best Buy. They're $800. And yeah. And so I bought like a middle of the road one, and now it's doing all my video editing. It's a lot of fun. So I bought a computer just to use Ecamm. So if
You
you
are
need to,
not alone.
right.
It's often hilarious to me. People are like, I have a PC. Can I still be part of your community? I'm like, sure, but you can. It does get to a point though where you're like, oh, maybe I need to buy myself a Mac to be able to join this club. So,
Well, I mean,
you're always welcome, but danger.
I spent just under $1,000. I got a little extra RAM, and I bought like 3 year of Apple Care for less than right at $1,000, and it's 10 times better than my son's gaming computer was for editing video. It's crazy. I mean, crazy. No, just the regular Mac Mini. Yeah, it's unbelievable how good it is.
Yeah, and it's pretty like Mini is not a lie. Like it's a pretty small, even though it's technically a desktop computer. Our team often will travel with a Mac Mini in like the roller bag because it's so small. It's very easy.
Air. I didn't know that it had. I knew it didn't have a fan, but I didn't know it was so minimal on what it could do.
It's unreal, and I've been editing video on it for the past since Christmas, and it's better. I mean, his computer was literally a 1.5 year old gaming computer, and some of the stuff would still stutter when I'd drag across timelines and stuff. I mean, it's wild. It's absolutely wild how well it works. You could Velcro this to the back of a monitor if you wanted to. Like, that's how light and small it is.
Yeah. Well, Karen, you are, I'm seeing your comment. Karen just wants to get on and to be a guest on your show. You absolutely can now. So we're good. You feel free to join through Safari or however else you want to join. You should be good.
Oh, look who's here.
Hey, Lindsay.
Lindsay stopped by. And if you haven't checked her out, she's got a fundraiser going on right now, a run, a 5K. And I promise I will sign up for it and have my wife do it. Because
That's not fair.
Not a lot of... my wife loves running. I hate it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah. No.
What do you think, since we're doing an Ecamm commercial, what do you think, like, why is it so much better than other streaming softwares? Like what, because there are some, I mean, I can see from the two that I've used, so I'm not an expert. I can see why people are drawn to this, even aside from the the responsive group that surrounds it.
So there's a difference between a desktop app, so an actual piece of software that you're installing on your computer versus a web-based tool. So like, for example, you were using StreamYard. There's also Riverside, Restream. There's a whole bunch of these web-based tools. So there's benefits to a web-based tool, right? They're really nimble. They're already online. So their ability to kind of share data online is great, right? But they are not able to do a ton of things that a desktop software is able to do because they don't have the power of your computer. They're sitting online. And they're also tend to be more expensive at the higher levels because the companies that are web-based are also holding a ton of data, right? So like when you're recording files, they're holding your files, and then they're sending it back down. So you're also going to likely run into issues of like the quality of the file is going to be variable to some level and won't be as high as if you're just recording it yourself on your own computer, right? Then you're only limited by the power of your computer and the quality of whatever cameras you're connecting in. So Ecamm is probably the closest comparison would be OBS, which is a free open source tool.
But I heard that's really hard to use.
It's really complicated because it's been built by like thousands of people over years, and it's a cobbled together software. But it's probably the closest to Ecamm because while Ecamm started off as a live streaming software and was probably a little bit more similar to like what StreamYard is now, it also allows you to record videos. It also has a virtual camera, so it can connect into a ton of other software. Like you can use it in Google Meet or Microsoft Teams or like any other software where you're choosing a camera. You can connect in Ecamm as your camera and use all of the features within it. And then again, we have integrations with a ton of tools, including Zoom. So it just allows us to do more, and it allows us to use all of the power of your Mac computer. It's literally built for Mac and built off of all of the cool features that Apple is putting in their computers. We have access to because we are desktop software sitting on your computer. It also means we never see or access or hold any of your files. So we're not paying huge amounts of money to keep storage somewhere else. So we're able to offer our services for significantly cheaper than most of our competitors, which is great. And it means that you own your own content. You don't have to worry about any kind of privacy concerns or paying to be able to download files later, or any of that kind of frustration that can come from a web-based tool.
But I mean, this is cool because I'll probably use this for regular video creation as well. Like I probably won't just use it for streaming, right?
Yeah, I hope you don't. I mean, that like the goal is that Ecamm is a pretty like centralized video production tool, right? So whether it's like recording reels for Instagram, or or you want to record like a quick video note that you want to send across to someone, you want to record a meeting, you want to anything that you're creating in video. And Ecamm will also create separate video and audio tracks. So if you want to use it as your recording studio, but you're only using the audio, Ecamm will just give you the audio. If you want to, do a ton of editing work on the other side, you can. But because it's originally built as a live streaming tool, it actually allows you to do all of the work on the planning and pre-production end. So, there are many people who don't edit at all, because the way that you're building it out in this, what we call scenes, allows you to add in all of your graphics and your overlays and your titles and your shared screens and video clips and everything you want in the video as you're producing it, so that you don't have to do a lot of that work on the editing side. Like typically on the editing side, it might just be something as simple as, making sure that the audio sounds as clean as possible, maybe trimming, some parts in and out. But generally speaking, you're saving yourself a ton of time in figuring out what elements you want to edit in, finding all of those pieces later. So it requires work on the planning and pre-production side, but saves you a ton of time on the post-production and editing side.
It's cool because I get what I want. Like look, I told Andrew and Katie this both beforehand. I spent a lot of time making those little things that say Tater, Katie, and Andrew. I mean, that was my Saturday. I mean, literally, this is my opus magnum right here, is making these little graphics, and they move. And I was so excited to have them. Thank you. I need that because I spent a lot of time on them. But then I'll get, I'm so laid back about so many things, but I'll get obsessive and want something different next week and then a different background. But it gives me something to play with, and I like it. Although, as you were saying this, I was like, I hope I'm recording this. I think I set it for live and record when I did it. So it should be recording, right?
Yeah. If you set it for live and record, then it will be recording. And the good news is now that you're also streaming on YouTube, if for whatever reason you forgot to hit record, you will have that extra backup.
That's so funny.
But never turn off the recording feature unless you absolutely intentionally do not want it on.
But these are the kinds of things I don't think about. It's what makes the show so special.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the little mistakes, right? What was I heard something really good this week. I never lose. I'm either winning or learning. I think something like that.
That makes sense.
And I can't remember where I heard it, but I thought to myself, I'm like, that's really, really awesome.
So true.
What's the best hidden feature on Ecamm? What's the thing?
Gosh.
Is there something awesome that I should know about that I'm not using? That
there are so many. My top two right now are, and of course, I'm a visual person, and so I'm gonna have to look down for a minute as I try to remember where they are so I can explain it to you. But there is so under the recording menu, which is at the very top of Ecamm, there's like menus on the top. The recording menu, there is the option to save photo. So this is a big deal for us right now at Ecamm, but it's kind of a hidden feature. What this is going to do is actually just grab a screenshot of just your main window while you are recording, which is really great because we should all be getting into the practice of creating better YouTube thumbnails. And often one of the issues with a YouTube thumbnail is you don't have the 8 million posed headshots that you need to be switching it up and making them exciting. But if you get into the habit of, once you're either before you go live or before you start recording or after you start recording, record a little bit longer and use that save photo feature, you actually can grab a whole bunch of different kind of posed shots that then match your look and your vibe for that video that you can use then for promotion, any kind of promotional graphics, certainly a YouTube thumbnail. So that one's a fun one. You could also do it by, in a slightly different way by just saving a short video file. Just record and just do like
right.
whatever.
Which is now your thumbnail for me, Katie. Thanks.
Right,
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. But you could save them out that way. But so that's a really fun one. And then the other one that I've been using more and more is so Ecamm, you can switch back and forth between recording in wide format, which is what we're doing right now. So typical, like, a typical video. And then we have the option to actually record in vertical, which is super helpful for YouTube Shorts and TikTok and Instagram Reels and all of that. But you might have like your design or you're looking at your camera and it still looks wide, right? So there's this vertical safe zone. So it actually like layers over these like slightly darker bars so that you can see exactly what that final video will look like in vertical mode, which is really helpful if you are recording in wide, but you want to just save out that vertical later. So the safe zone is also a favorite. And what's coming next in Ecamm is on the roadmap is the ability to actually have layouts for both. So you'll be able to multi-stream in vertical to Instagram, for example, but send the wide format of the video out to YouTube. So that safe zone will be even more helpful so that we don't have to do it twice. we can just do it one time because we want to make things easier.
I mean, this is really cool. Guys, this is not just a camera and a microphone. This is work when we make these things. It's a lot.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
You really want like the workflow to be as easy as possible. So like even though it's possible to do all of the things, and I think when you're first building it, you should, spend the time and make it look exactly how you want it. Save that as a profile so that next time you can just jump in and change out my name for whoever your guest is and you'll be good to go. So that like the first time, maybe it takes you a whole weekend or hours or whatever amount of time. But ideally going forward, like when I do my show now, it's 5 minutes before I start. I jump in, I change things, swap a couple things around. I'm ready to go. I have my 5 scenes or 3 scenes or whatever it is. I can just go next, and the show is done.
Right. And I think that's what, and that's exactly what I'll do. Like I've had this up since yesterday, just in case. I didn't want it to go away. I was afraid if I went to a different screen, something would happen.
Profile. So save it as a profile.
If Ecamm's
your show name, yep.
measuring in the background how long it's running, then they'll know that I've been on for about 72 hours.
I have mine open all the time, so you're totally fine.
Okay, I feel better now.
I haven't done anything with Ecamm yet, so what you're telling me is instead of using YouTube Studio or whatever else I'm using, I just need to get this to upload my videos, is basically what you're telling me.
So Ecamm is a recording and live streaming software. So gotcha. So it'll help you record your videos and allow you to do things like camera switch. So if you want to have like a couple different camera angles, if you want like any of these kinds of like graphics around, if you want to play little video clips or share your screen or anything that goes above and beyond just like looking into your phone camera, for example, Ecamm is going to let you do that. And then it actually even has a button at the very end. So once you're done your recording or your stream, it'll say, send this right to YouTube. So you can just click that and send it all the way through. It'll also send it through into Descript, which is an amazing AI editing tool. It'll send it into Opus Clip, which is a great video clipping tool. So it does all of the video production work. And then when you're done, it'll help you get it to where you need it to go.
Well, and that was one of the cool things. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know anything about podcasting or content creating. I'm just doing what they told me. And she said, oh my gosh, and her name's escaping me now. She was lovely. She was so smart. She likes Universal a lot. She was at Momentum, but she was the one that was talking, I think, about
Tucker.
Nope.
No,
Cassie Tucker.
Cassie Tucker, yeah.
Cassie Tucker said, and Andrew, this is for you, is like just, and Andrew, I mean, Andrew has not our Andrew, but Andrew's Accessible Adventures. He has a YouTube channel, and Caleb has Fantasyland Adventures. So we have, and Karen's been on our show now, so she's a content creator too, and this is how you end up getting involved in doing this, and it just leaks in. But Cassie was just like, fake it, pretend you're doing well, which is what I've been doing. Lou says don't look at the numbers, and I haven't been able to stop doing that. I can't help it. And I'm not obsessed with them, but I'm trying to get my YouTube to where I'll get some ad revenue where my wife will go, oh, okay, maybe you are doing something. so
Yeah,
that
you
I
got some
can
goals. Goals are
keep
good.
going. Right.
Yeah.
I decided I got two more subscribers the other day. I was like, you?
Yes.
There
It's
you
working.
go. Yeah,
People are watching.
exactly.
Just makes you feel like $1 million.
Exactly.
But I do really like the tech side. And when I first started out, I was doing some tech reviews, kind of a normal guy review stuff, because I think a lot of times we can get bogged down. And that's another thing about the Ecamm community is it's all very layman's terms. It's not like, oh, well, you're going to take a 481 and divide it by 7, and then you get the shutter speed. You know, there's none of that. It's like, hey, here's how you do it, and here's how you can do it. And oh, even I make this mistake, you know, hit this button here, which I really enjoy. It makes me feel a lot more relaxed in doing all of this.
We're giving up our perfect. That's our goal right now. I've seen some questions coming in. I just want to answer. So Caleb is asking if you can use Ecamm on your phone. So unfortunately, no. If you're streaming or recording on your phone, you're pretty limited. There's not too many, at least not to my knowledge, that are like phone-based apps for this. You can use if you have, so Ecamm is a Mac only software, like Apple products only computers. If you have an iPhone or an iPad, you can connect it to your computer and it will show up as a camera source or as a screen share source in Ecamm. So you can like whiteboard while you're doing on video if you have an iPad, or you can connect, you know, many of our users will use like their camera, their phone camera as a main camera or a secondary camera, because the quality of the phone camera these days is just ridiculous. So
Crazy.
a really great option. And then another question from Karen is, how do you save this incredible setup that Sean has created? So Ecamm has what are called profiles. So every profile is like a project or a show, and you can have a preposterous amount of them. I think I'm up to like well over 100 at this point. So like I can have one for like what I want to look like in a Zoom meeting. I can have one for, you know, my podcast, my other podcast, presentations that I do often. You can duplicate them, you can rename them, there's a bunch of stuff, but that's how you would save it. And you can actually export them as well and send them. So like if I wanted to create one for Sean and I was like, I've got you, I'm going to build everything out for you, I could create it in my Ecamm and then I could just export it and send it over to Sean. He would double click it and it would open in his Ecamm and he'd be ready to go.
Well, where was that on Saturday, Katie?
Yeah, you didn't ask.
But
ask the question, Sean.
But here's the thing. I was not frustrated, but I did walk back and get like my second cup of coffee, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't belong. This again, imposter syndrome. I don't belong here. This is too much. This is too hard. But the great thing about building something is then you know how it stacks, right? So now I feel pretty confident with what I've done, and so building things on top of that, it's going to be awesome. It's just going to make it better and better. Whereas if someone sends me a template, then I'm not going to know how the banner got there, how the name got there, how these things got in. So I do actually like starting at the bottom and working up that way.
Yeah. Well,
and
you've
yes,
done pretty well. I mean, it looks great.
Again, if you saw how much time, like and Jeff had talked about a mastermind that he does. I actually texted him and said, like, maybe I will join that. You know, I was thinking that, because look, I'm trying to do all of this on a budget, right? And as you have to learn these things, and I will insert this here. I use this all the time. Is your gas thing? That was one of the most important things I learned. That sounds bad that Katie had gas at Momentum, but that's not it. Is gear acquisition syndrome,
yep.
and it's so true. Like I have been eyeballing that Shure SMB so it's been in my cart, out of my cart, in my cart. I'm like, you know, we have like 15 followers. Maybe I should let this build a little bit before I go start spending the college money on stuff, because there's such cool stuff, right?
Yep.
Like I'm jealous of that purple microphone pops the little screen there. Yeah, that's really cool.
I will say, if it's just so you and everyone listening and watching can understand, this is a Shure MV7 microphone. So this is like the middle of the road, and it's at this point 2 years old. So there are newer models that are out. The SM7B is definitely like the rock star level I am not at. Right. And there's actually like a cheaper one that they just released called the MV6. And part of me is like, I definitely like had that one come out when I bought like a mic for my show, that probably would have been the one. Like you don't need the most expensive one to be successful, and in many cases what makes sense for you may not make sense for someone else. So I've been on kind of a simplify tract when it comes to gear, because I am lucky enough that I actually have access to just about everything, because
I
my
bet.
office is down the road, so I can bring anything home. I can back and forth. I can test. I can go into the office to record my personal stuff. I have that luxury. But at home, I'm now on, so this is like, again, not the newest mic, not the most expensive microphone. The camera that I'm using right now is a $129 4K webcam that I literally put my Sony ZV-E10 back into the office because this is like this big. And so it doesn't take up a ton of space. I can bring it with me easily. I understand how to use it. It doesn't have tons of bells and whistles that are going to go wrong. So and often I will use my phone as a webcam, and that is like, the quality is also fantastic on it. So it's less is more. I think sometimes we when we say like gas and gear acquisition syndrome, it's part of it is just you're seeing what other people are doing, but if you don't actually need it and you don't have the time to learn exactly how it works and how it would work really well for you, it's not worth it. It's like you're just distracting yourself and kind of getting in the way of creating, and creating unnecessary spend for no real reason. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it matters in your space and like what you're actually doing with it. This is a super simple setup. I can throw it all in my bag because I travel a ton, and I can set it up, and I know how to set it up really easily anywhere and can go. So for me, it makes a ton of sense, because out there that you can't see is like the tiniest room, and it's half craft room for me and my 10-year-old. So there's stuff everywhere, like over every surface, art supplies and like weird paper and stamps and all kinds of crazy stuff.
And this is my son's room, but he's in college, so I've just annexed it, and all the cool lights and stuff we put up just happen to still be mine for now. And if he comes and takes it, I don't know what's going to happen.
I know. Sneaker is pretty awesome.
Isn't that cool? There's a light to it I didn't turn on as well. He's had that for a long time. There's actually a new SM that has another input on it. So, and I was like, oh, I should. And I'm like, what? No one's here but me. The only person I talk to is at 500 miles away. Why am I gonna? But I get rolling, and my head, it gets a little.
I've got a $40 Amazon mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sound great. You both sound fine. There's no
camera. That's about it.
Well, my wife said it sounds like a real podcast, and that's probably the best compliment you can get from. Hey, that sounds like a real podcast.
Yeah, that's all we ever expect from our partners.
Yeah, exactly.
we have a real podcast,
right? Well, that was the great advice, right? Is that who doesn't want to see your YouTube and podcast? Your friends and family do not care about your stuff. It's made for someone else. No one watches it. All right, so let's squeeze in a little Disney here.
All right, I'll do my best.
So what do you have a favorite Disney restaurant that you've been to? Let's start easier. Out of the 4 parks in Orlando, which one do you like best?
So let me back up and say that I have only been to Disney World twice. 2 years in a row, both times. Well, first time with Lou and Jeff, second time with Jeff and a whole bunch of Ecamm people. Both times we only went to Star Wars World. So I know.
Okay, you're good.
Bay
yeah, you're good.
7
Welcome to the club.
Is my favorite because that's the one that we've been to the most. So yeah.
Which, if you'd have been here last week, that was one of our literally top quick service restaurants. So
perfect.
You're in good company.
I will say, and Disney's actually a great example of this. I'm very good at finding like the coolest people that I know, somehow tricking them into letting me hang out with them, and then just taking all of their recommendations. Like Lou's like, we're going to be at Disney. And I'm like, I'm there. If you'll let me be there, I'm there. And whatever you think is cool, I also think is cool. I'm just happy to like hear you talk about it and tell me all the cool fun facts, and I'll just follow you around. And that works for me.
How did you meet Lou?
So I think I like actually met Lou and spent time with him through Jeff. But I had talked with him prior to that because he was literally just inducted into the Podcasting Hall of Fame. So when I joined the Ecamm team just over 5 years ago, he had been an Ecamm customer well before I had started, and and was certainly like one of our top Ecamm customers and someone who, I was looking to as being a great example, someone to pick their brain, someone to be able to chat with about projects we could work on. So he and I had gone back and forth by email a few times before I ended up actually meeting him. And then I think it was probably, honestly, almost entirely last year, we were in the same like circuit of events together. And so we just ended up hanging out a ton together. Lou and I are both sushi fans. So we were, every time that was after events, we were like, let's get sushi. Yeah, he's just, I mean, a really inspirational person, a really hard worker, super humble, giving person. So as you know, it's just people like Lou, you just can't help but gravitate towards.
If he tells me that award is for us one more time,
we're going to shoot him in the head.
And he is, I mean, he really, I mean, and I think maybe I've never specifically talked about it, but the reason, I mean, obviously he's a big inspiration for what Andrew and I are doing here and the YouTube channel, because I just wanted to share the stuff, right? Like I like my life. I like what I do. I don't mind telling people about it. I don't have any secrets anymore. None that anyone I think is going to find out. And if you do, then I'll probably talk about them because I like that kind of stuff. But I went through a lot of podcasts and we were not Disney people. Well, I mean, sort of, but not in the way I am now. This was something that my family we kind of grew together with, and it became our thing. And then I wanted to continue it. But I went through a lot of podcasts and a lot of negativity to get to Lou, who's just so happy and friendly and nice and positive, and not a complete apologist, right? I mean, Andrew and I do the same thing. If we don't like something, we'll say it. We're just not going to spend our life. I mean, again, scroll on, just keep scrolling. Yep. If it's not for you, keep moving.
Yeah.
So the culture is really what I think keeps me coming back and each week and getting involved and then motivating me to keep doing this.
Yeah. And the cool thing about it, like even the Facebook page is, it's so positive. It moderates itself. There's no negativity on his page anywhere. And if there is, everybody in the group jumps on it quick and knocks it out, and it's gone. But just his as The Rock says, his mana.
Yeah.
He has such positive mana that he passes on to everybody. And every time I go down, I've only met him once, but I'll text him next week and go, "Hey, we're coming down next weekend. Are you going to be available?" And I know he's so busy that sometimes he can't. He gets upset that I want to meet you and your family, but we got this going on. I'm like, I get it. It's your.
You need to bribe him with food. That's how I. That was
how
I.
Sushi.
I'm like,
right.
Have an extra seat for dinner. Meet me here. Oh, I can't.
Right. I bribed him with the kumite, and he showed up for that one. That was.
Maybe Geyser Point. Come get a burger.
Yeah, Karen, I was thinking exactly this when I put that together. I was
I have the tangled songs in my head. I love it.
Are you guys a Disney household? Do you watch movies? Do you like it? Do you love Disney, or just kind of in passing?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll say I definitely grew up on the wonderful world of Disney. That was like my jam. And we definitely, like, as a family, both when I was a kid as well as my family now, have watched every Disney movie that I can. Like, certainly all the cartoons, definitely many of the action, adventure, real life films as well. We don't. So I struggle. So both my husband and my son are really bad in crowds. They just get very anxious, and that's just not their thing. And so
it's tough. Oh. Froze up a little bit.
Oh, we have internet problems, I guess.
Oh.
Can you still hear me?
Yep, can hear you now.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll see if it comes back.
It's a podcast.
We're not a parks family, but definitely love everything that Disney stands for, and certainly spend a lot of time watching Disney.
It doesn't alleviate the crowds, but I honestly am getting to the point where I could probably go for 3 or 4 days at Disney and not go to a park. Like, just do restaurants and the resorts, and I'd be fine.
We have no plans.
That's a good thought.
We haven't bought a lightning lane or anything. We're just going to go down and see what happens. If we get a ride, we get a ride. If not, and then we got some dinner planned, and that's about our whole trip. But it's nothing. It's just Valentine's Day weekend with me and my wife and my daughters. That's it. That's all I plan.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right. Well, we won't keep you, Katie. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time and coming on. It really means a lot to me.
Thanks
Oh
for
my
coming.
gosh, my pleasure. Well, I'm sorry I'm frozen on an awkward face, but
That's all
I've
right.
had a lot of fun
Yeah,
hanging
okay.
out and always happy to answer questions. So if anyone wants to connect, you can certainly look me up and find me. I'm happy to help in any way. But great job. I mean, congratulations. It's funny, you and many people from Momentum and from kind of Lou's community are so it's just so admirable. Like, I work with a lot of people on a regular basis who like would have been even too afraid to get to the step that you're at. So like I hope that you're celebrating that. I mean, this is not a small accomplishment. Even though I'm sure it feels cumbersome sometimes. Getting this far is awesome.
I'm having a lot of fun. It's probably the most consistent thing I've ever done in my life.
That is
Like,
incredible.
Like, it's weird. The YouTube and now the podcast I've probably stuck with this and been, again, we've had trouble finding a day to do the video recordings and we want to do them live. But honestly, the whole point of the video thing was just to have more video, because I live in Virginia, so I can't go to the parks every week. I try to get down once a month, but it's expensive and hard. And yet it doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's par for my life. So, the podcast is something I can do no matter what's going on or where we are, which is awesome. And now do it on Ecamm, which is great.
And I think it's cool that we'll shoot each other a idea midweek, and it gives us time to research it and get our pictures and slides and something else to do during the week. And it's fun. I enjoy it.
Yep. So that's my goal for next week, is to be able to have scenes where I'll have the slides pop up over the side and things move. So
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, if you need any help, shoot me a note. Happy to jump on and help in any way or answer any questions.
I appreciate it. And as always, check out the people we love. We love, I see Andrew's wearing a Be Nice to Cast member shirt, which I was wearing last week. So check out Main Street Magic. That's his shirt. I've got one of our Corner of Main shirts on, and Accessible Adventures by Andrew. He was wearing that shirt last week, so I put it on when I was thinking. If you're in this area, please, and you need your HVAC service, please call my buddy Murillo Mechanical. If you need your vents cleaned, he will tell him, but mostly Disney sent you, and he'll give you 10% off, which is nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so he's a big supporter of the show, and he's making it possible, and it's awesome. Plus, it makes us feel like legit and exciting.
Legit.
So.
We have
But thanks, guy. And next week, I already know we're having the Disney Hotel lady on next Tuesday at 7:30. So that's,
amazing.
I think this is the first time I actually know 7 days in advance what's happening, which is exciting.
Winning.
I'm right. It's just, again, little baby steps. So thanks, Katie. Andrew, always great to see you. And Karen and Caleb and Andrew, and I'm sure Lindsay's gone by now, but I appreciate you showing up, and we will see you guys next week. Thanks.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.
See you later.